Let's be real for a second. Have you ever truly known what it's like to work at another university? I mean, beyond the perfect-looking website and the smiling faces during the interview? Well, today, we're going to crack the code on academic workplaces. We're talking about a whole new way to get the real story on everything from workplace culture to your next career move. So, let's get into it. It really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You see that amazing job opening, you ace the interviews, you're feeling good, but there's always that little voice in the back of your head asking, but what's it actually like? It's a huge, life-changing decision, and you're making it almost completely in the dark. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why universities can feel like such black boxes. Then, we're going to look at a new community-driven solution that's flipping the script. We'll break down how it all works, how it stays honest, and then we'll get into some pretty eye-opening salary data. And finally, we'll talk about what this means for the future. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Academia's Hidden Workplaces. This is all about that huge challenge of finding a place that doesn't just look good on paper, but actually feels right when you're there day in and day out. We've all been there, right? You're in that interview, and everyone is putting on their best show. The university is selling you their amazing culture, and you're selling them your amazing skills. But what about the stuff that actually shapes your life? Is that flexible work policy for real, or is it just something they say? You usually don't find out until it's too late. Okay, so that's the problem. How do we get a real look inside? Well, that brings us right to Section 2. We're talking about a new era of transparency, and it's being powered by the academic community itself. And here it is, the Higher Education Employer Rankings by AcademicJobs. Now, what makes this so cool is that it's not some top-down list created by a committee somewhere. No, this is built from the ground up by people working in academia for people working in academia. It's all about getting the real, unfiltered story out there. Think of it less like a static, dusty report and more like a living ecosystem. It's constantly growing and changing as people share their real experiences. This means you're getting a 360-degree view that's actually relevant right now, not 6 months ago. Of course, for any system like this to be valuable, you have to be able to trust it. So for Section 3, let's pull back the curtain and get into the nitty-gritty of how these rankings actually work. So how do you know the data is legit? It all boils down to these 4 core pillars. First up, verification. You can't just leave a review. You have to have a valid institutional email, so you know it's from real employees. Second, recency. Ratings expire after 12 months, which keeps things fresh and relevant. Third, flexibility. If things change at your job, for better or worse, you can update your rating. And finally, organic growth. The scores are a real-time weighted average, constantly updating. And we're not just talking about a simple thumbs up or thumbs down here. People are rating their workplace across 10 really specific metrics. You've got the big ones like job satisfaction and work-life balance, but it also dives deep into things like DEI commitment and innovation. And my personal favorite is the likelihood to recommend score. Asking someone, would you tell your friend to work here? That tells you almost everything you need to know.
All right, so the system is built on a solid foundation, but how do you keep everybody honest? That brings us to Section 4, the rules of the road that ensure a fair and professional environment for everyone.
It really comes down to clear guidelines for both sides of the table. For employees, you verify with your email, but your review stays anonymous. The key is to be authentic and professional. For employers, they're actually encouraged to invite their staff to participate. But, and this is a big but, there are super strict rules against trying to game the system. And this rule right here is a huge deal. It's the anti-coaching rule. And honestly, it's a game changer. It means employers absolutely cannot influence reviews. No offering gift cards for 5-star ratings, no helpful suggestions on what to write, no managers looking over your shoulder while you vote. This is crucial for keeping the data clean. So what happens if an employer gets caught breaking that rule? Well, the platform doesn't mess around. They get a very public data integrity warning placed right on their profile for everyone to see. Plus, their score takes a major hit for a full 6 months. It's not a slap on the wrist, it's a real consequence. Okay, so finding a good culture is one thing, but let's talk about the other big piece of the puzzle, your career. And yeah, the money. In this section, we're going to pivot to the practical side of things and check out some incredible salary insights. Let's just start at the very top of the ladder, shall we? According to the OECD, the average salary for a university president is floating right around $450,000. That gives you a nice benchmark for what leadership earns. Okay, now let's bring it back to a role many of us know well. For a professor, the median salary in 2024 is about $84,000. That's a key number for a huge part of the academic workforce.
And then there's this number. Brace yourself, because this is where things get a little wild. A top U.S. coach, someone like Kirby Smart, can make $13 million. No, that is not a typo. It just shows you how incredibly varied university pay scales can be.
So you see these wildly different numbers, and you might be wondering, what's the point? The point is, you get the whole picture. The platform puts all this data together so you can see the entire landscape, from common faculty roles to the absolute highest paying gigs, and really map out where your career could go. And this isn't just about salaries in one country. We're talking global career insights here. So, yeah, the US is where you find those massive coaching salaries, but Europe is often recognized for having a better work-life balance. You can also see pathways you might not have considered, like moving from private industry into a dean role. And it gives you the real pros and cons, like the stability of tenure versus the insane competition to get there. Which leads us to our final and maybe most important section, the future of academic work. Because a tool like this isn't just about helping you find a job today, it's about fundamentally changing what those jobs look like tomorrow. And if there's one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this: your voice has power. Every single rating, every piece of feedback, it doesn't just help the next person looking for a job. It becomes part of a collective voice pushing for a more transparent, more accountable, and frankly, a better academic world for all of us. So, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. If every single one of our voices was actually heard, what would the ideal university workplace of the future even look like? It's a pretty powerful thought, and now it's a future that we can all have a hand in building.